guess what? NASCAR is back. And if you think drivers with face masks on in front of empty grandstands is weird, that has nothing on the things you are about to see. From incoherent on-air drunkenness to a victory shark to a giant orange on the track, NASCAR has had its share of bizarre moments. And just what is Kim Kardashian doing here? NASCAR's weirdest moments are coming up right after this. Real quick, before we get started, I recruited the help of the ICEBERG, who not only selected these bizarre incidents, but will appear later in the video to tell you about his favorite one. Let's get into it. Though the future of Chicagoland Speedway may be in doubt, there's no question that this incident during qualifying in 2004 for a Busch Series race is unquestionably unforgettable. As Todd Segedy came out of a turn, he noticed that he had some company with him on the track. A giant inflatable orange which was being used in a promotion. It was dislodged by the Chicago wind and took off down the straightaway. The orange qualified 34th for the race and finished 12th. Bristol, 1994. After winning the pole and having the best car all day in a spring nationwide series race, Mark Martin was cruising to an easy win in the Goodies 250. With 2 laps remaining, the race's 10th yellow flag came out, and back then if that happened, the race would end under caution. Martin, leading at the time, got the white flag and was guaranteed the win, with his fellow racers pulling alongside him to give the thumbs up. Only problem was he pulled off the track to celebrate, thinking the race was over, having neglected to cross the finish line under the checkered flag. The win ended up going to David Green, who thought he had finished second. Martin said afterwards, "I can't believe anyone could be that stupid." Man, I bet his pit crew was pissed. Do you know what every fan hates? Rain delays. And since NASCAR is known for clever, over-the-top solutions to novel problems, this next incident might blow your mind. Pun intended. In 1969, nice, at Michigan International Speedway, a rain delay was being fought by the use of helicopters. That actually makes perfect sense. A flying mobile fan, right? Unfortunately, as the chopper was drawing the track, a safety truck with a large antenna struck the bird and it came crashing down. Luckily, it was flying low and nobody got hurt. After that, they stopped using helicopters as giant fans. After helicopters, dragging tires became the preferred method of track drying, and then the jet dryer was invented. A truck that ironically has a helicopter engine mounted on it loaded with highly flammable jet fuel? What's the worst that could happen? Juan Pablo Montoya happened. In 2012, during a caution at the Daytona 500, the jet dryer was doing its thing during a rain delay. Trying to catch up to the pack, Montoya sped around the track and slammed into the jet dryer, causing an amazing explosion, damaging the track, extending an already late night, and thankfully not seriously hurting anyone. Since then, Montoya has been remembered as the jet dryer guy, who also kind of sucked in NASCAR. Not the 2-time Indy winner he was. We all know Dick Trickle not only has the best name ever in sports, but also was a badass for burning a heater while taking some trips around the oval. However, he had nothing on Buck Baker, who had an elaborate setup to help him get hammered out there on the track, and I'm not talking about crashing into other people. Buck would often sneak a beer or two while racing in probably one of the worst judgment decisions on earth. His self-admitted words go like this: "I put beer in my thermos. After a few laps, the beer, jostled by a bumpy ride, foamed up and the top came off the jug. The inside of the car looked like a washing machine. I had to explain that one to Bill France." Probably would have been an easier convo with Brian though. Hey-o, don't sue me. You'd think a sport involving driving would have less drinking involved, but as long as you aren't doing them at the same time, you're good. After winning the 2012 Sprint Cup Championship, NASCAR stud Brad Keselowski was brought on SportsCenter for a live interview. You can clearly see he was enjoying some merch from his sponsor, and in the time from clinching the championship to the time they got a mic in front of him, Brad got lit. Let's listen to him.
Pretty damn awesome. I got a little buzz going here. I've been drinking for a little bit, but well, man, I'm 6 foot tall. about 155 pounds. I'm wet right now, so I'm probably really around 150. We did it. That's pretty simple, right, guys? Best damn team I've ever seen in my life and the best fans. How about that? Make some noise! Thank you, guys. Miller Time, ESPN, NASCAR, thank you.
Technically, he only had one beer, so I forgive him. Speaking of forgiveness, could you imagine if a founding father of a sport was given an actual presidential pardon? I bet the Wilpons are hoping for something like that. But in 1985, that's what happened when Ronald Reagan formally pardoned Junior Johnson for his 1956 conviction of running moonshine. How fitting. Johnson was caught firing up his daddy still and then got nabbed while tangled in a barbed wire fence. He ended up doing 11 months in a federal pound-me-in-the-ass prison, got out and resumed a successful 10-year career as a driver, then was ultimately exonerated by the president. Go to any NASCAR race. The crowd is diverse and welcoming to all kinds. That's a fact. Unfortunately, in 2006, NBC just couldn't accept this, so they set out to stir some shit up. The network sent a mic'd-up group of Muslims to a race in Martinsville expecting to garner a shocking reaction. There was not a single incident, and once NASCAR got wind of the stunt, they were naturally outraged. The good old media, creating news instead of reporting it. That's actually despicable from so many angles. NASCAR is for everyone. Now let's get into the truly bizarre parts of NASCAR. Of course, it involves marketing. 2006 was just weird, as in an effort to tap into their large female audience, NASCAR released a series of romance novels designed to get the ladies burning hotter than racing fuel. I am not making this up. NASCAR teamed up with Harlequin Publishing to release such steamy titles as Dangerous Curves, To the Limit, and Rotate My Tires, Baby. Okay, that last one was made up, but the fact that 9 total novels were released isn't. Gotta give those pit lizards something to do during downtime, right? Music usually goes hand in hand with sport. The problem comes when those involved in the sport think they should be making the music, like, say, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and James Dolan. Well, NASCAR is no exception to that, and in 1975 they put out a country album. Not an album that just had songs related to NASCAR, no, an album that had songs sung by NASCAR drivers. Tracks included a 99 bottles of beer rendition and featured artists such as Cale Yarborough, Richard Petty, David Pearson, and Darrell Waltrip, just to name a few. It was re-released in 2002, and I don't know how many copies it sold, if any. After suffering the tragic loss of his father in 2001, Dale Jr. remarked to his crew that he felt like he was Tom Hanks in Castaway, feeling mundane and bored with his existence. I mean, we kinda know the feeling now, right? After verbally chiding his crew and telling them they should just get him a volleyball to keep him company in his car, that's exactly what they did. At the 2001 Dover race, his pit crew snuck a Wilson ball replete with face paint and all behind Dale Jr. in his car. During a caution, they let him know it was there over the radio, and it sparked him to a victory. And he finally felt like he wasn't alone. This is so weird, it has to be untrue, right? Oh, but it's not. It's not at all. In 2010, Kim K was launching a perfume line, and what better avenue to promote it than with a pink car with her face plastered all over it. Kardashian chose to sponsor Mike Bliss's number 36 car for the Shelby American Sprint Cup race, and I guess Mike really needed the money. He finished 39th out of 43 entrants. And we're willing to bet Kim Kardashian probably has had way more than 43 entrants. And for our final, most weirdest NASCAR moment, I'm gonna let the ICEBERG take this one over. Please remember to subscribe to his channel after this video.
They say the immense speed that you go through as a NASCAR driver makes your bowels feel uneasy. The G-forces, the fact that your life is on the line, it's enough to make a person shit themselves. Well, that's not left to normal people like you and I. That is left to the drivers, like Tony Stewart in 2004 at Watkins Glen. Apparently, after not feeling well all day, Tony was dedicated to finishing the road course race. And I guess Tony loves winning more than comfort, as at some point, he had an in-car accident and soiled his racing suit. Pinching his way all the way to the finish line, Tony took home both the checkered and brown flag and immediately left the racetrack to take a shower and probably cry tears of relief and joy. We've all been there, man. As other racers remarked how good Tony was that day, I'm sure all he could think about was how he left them in his skid marks.
Okay, that's enough. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to subscribe for more sports facts and bad jokes. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to my next video.